everyone, and welcome back to Sonya's Prep. In this week's video, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what Yom Kippur is, how I practically prepare for it as a busy mom to young kiddos. So I'll go through a little bit of all of those things, and of course we're going to be talking about some good, delicious recipes to eat for post-fast. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you do, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Now let's roll up our sleeves and let's get prepping. Yom Kippur, as I think many of us know, is considered one of the holiest days in the Jewish calendar. It's a time of reflection, repentance. We don't only ask forgiveness from God, Hashem, but we also ask forgiveness from each other if we've wronged one another. So it's a time of really just introspection, seeing what we did wrong or how we strayed from the path. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. I think it's very hard as moms to young kiddos to feel what Yom Kippur is really, because we have little kids that we're taking care of and we have to feed them while we're fasting, and we can get lost in the day. So I just wanted to share with you some practical tips that I hope to take upon myself on this Yom Kippur that maybe will help one of you, and I hope you guys will gain something out of it. Although it is extremely hard while you're having your kids running around throughout the house on Yom Kippur to be able to devote some time to actually pray, I do try to devote a little bit of time to actually sit down and pray. And actually my kids like it also. They come and they sit down with me and they take out their prayer books, their siddurim, and they sit with me on the couch and we pray. And even their school gives out some like papers for them to pray. So that's actually very cute. We ask for forgiveness from one another before the actual holiday. That's another big thing, like I mentioned. So the kids will ask forgiveness from each other. The parents will ask forgiveness from the kids. The kids will ask forgiveness from the parents. We make phone calls throughout the day before Yom Kippur. But we really take it to heart. It's a serious thing. And it's a beautiful thing of renewal and rejuvenation and second chances, which I think is so important to teach our kids also, that we do get second chances. We all mess up sometimes. So I really love this concept of Yom Kippur, even though it's a day of awe and sadness, because you're repenting for things that you've done wrong. But the beauty of it is the renewal, and that's why you'll see so many Jewish people wearing white on that day, because you're trying to show purity and renewal, and you're trying to symbolize all of those things with the way that you are dressing yourselves and your family. So I think that's one of the beautiful aspects of Yom Kippur. Also on Yom Kippur, we don't wear any leather shoes. Historically, in ancient times, wearing leather shoes was a sign of luxury and comfort. And on this specific day, we're trying to really humble ourselves and show that we are more spiritually connected to God, and we're trying to push away the physicality. So that's why you'll see people wearing sneakers or not leather shoes items. So as you saw what I put on today, they're not leather, they're fabric made. They're a little bit less comfortable. So we're trying to like afflict ourselves, showing God that we're trying to spiritually connect to you, even though we may physically feel like you're close, but we're doing that extra step by physically afflicting ourselves, by not eating, by not wearing the most comfortable things. A lot of people ask me also if on this day I'll go to a synagogue, or if I'll pray, or if I'll join services. And being a mom to young kiddos, that's actually quite hard to do, because I feel bad making my kids sit for a long period of time. It's not natural to them, and it's not necessary for us to be there at all. Even though it's something nice that I used to do before I had kids, and was at Shul and we were davening the entire day, and it was a beautiful thing. But now my role is very, very different, and I try to show this to my kids by praying at home and doing kind services at home. So I might go to Shul for an hour or two with the kids, but it's just not the place to be with little ones who are making a ruckus. It's a serious time. We're praying to God. It's not a place where I would feel comfortable bringing my kids. Of course, there are people who are very comfortable bringing their kids, and that's great. But I think for a few more years, I'll be sticking it out at home. There are definitely a lot of other aspects to Yom Kippur, but I'm not gonna go into all of it today. I just wanted to give you a very big gist of the whole entire holiday and how I prepare for it. I wanted to share with you some delicious recipes. These recipes I specifically took so that you can make them in advance, because it's kind of hard to cook last minute when a fast ends. So these are some things that I'll be preparing ahead of time, and I'll just putting them together very quickly at the very end. So the first recipe that I'll be sharing with you is a French onion soup that I'm going to be making ahead of time on Sunday, and it'll stay in my fridge, and it's very easy to just put everything together. So let's go into the recipe. As you just saw, I am peeling 3 very large onions, cleaning them, and putting them through a slicer in my food processor. I take a Dutch oven, place in 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. You could use any oil that you like. And once that gets heated through, I add in all of my sliced onions. This Dutch oven is linked in my description box. It's 7 quarts, and I use this for so many things. And I'm going to be seasoning everything, as you just saw, with some salt, black pepper, and 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of sugar. While that's caramelizing, I'm going to get started on my croutons. I just had some leftover bread that I needed to use up, but you can definitely buy the croutons to make your life easier. I'm placing the croutons into a 350-degree oven for about 10 to 15 minutes until they're beautiful and golden like this. What we're looking for with the onions is for them to get a deep brown color. So every few minutes or so, I'm going to be coming back, mixing the onions, taking all those brown bits from the bottom, scraping them off, and just waiting until those onions get beautifully caramelized, just like this. This usually takes about 25 to 45 minutes depending on your flame and the pot that you're using. I also dropped in about 4 minced garlic cloves, mixed it, added in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, mixed that as well, and then 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. All of the recipes will be linked in the description box below. I then fill my pot with some boiling hot water and allow that to come to a boil. Because we don't mix milk with meat, I'm not allowed to use any kind of meat broth or chicken broth, so I'm going to be using the next best thing, which is some onion soup mix, and I also love adding some oregano seasoning. I then allow the soup to cook covered for about 45 minutes, and this is what it looks like. It's a gorgeous brown color, and I'm going to put all of the finishing touches to it now. I'm using some oven-safe ramekins. If you don't have them, you can just use regular bowls, add in your croutons over the top and some of your shredded cheese. I'm using mozzarella here today, but feel free to use any kind of cheese that's your favorite that you like to have melted over the top of your food. I'm placing that into the oven until it gets nice and gooey and delicious. The ultimate comfort food, so savory, so soothing, nice and warm, perfect for after the fast. Oh my, this next recipe is a delicious cheesy garlic bread, which is not the most healthiest, but it is also delicious and just goes very, very well with the French onion soup. So I hope you guys enjoy it and definitely try to make it. Let's go into the recipe. So here now I'm preparing the garlic butter. I have some cilantro here. If you're not a fan of cilantro, just use parsley instead of it, or you could even just use some dry parsley flakes. I also have a whole head of minced garlic, as you saw. Into a bowl, I'm placing in 2 sticks of butter so that they can soften. And then I'm going to be adding in the garlic and the cilantro into it. I'm going to be reserving some of the garlic to make my salad dressing. So as you'll see, there's another bowl over there. I'm going to be dropping in about 2 to 3 garlic cloves, depending on the amount of dressing that you'll be making, but more on that in a little bit. So into the garlic butter, I'm adding in about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese that's already been grated. If you have the fresh kind, that is amazing, but I have this one. So I'm going to be adding that into the bowl. For the seasoning, I'm going to be placing in about 2 teaspoons of oregano, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to be placing that to the side so it can soften. Meanwhile, for the salad dressing, I'm going to be adding in a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of oregano. I usually use lemon, but I didn't have any, so I'm squeezing in half of an orange over here, and then placing in about 1 cup of mayo into this bowl so I can mix up my salad dressing. So I'd use a whisk, mix everything up, and I usually like my salad dressing to be a little thinner, so I added in about, I don't know, 1/4 cup or so of water until I got the perfect consistency. For the actual bread, I got a ciabatta loaf. You can use baguettes. That's the one that I would have preferred to get, but they didn't have any at the store, so this was the next best thing. I slice it in half and place it onto a baking tray with some parchment paper for easy cleanup. And then I'm going to be slathering on that yummy, cheesy garlic butter all over the bread. Now that the garlic butter has been placed all over the bread, I'm going to be taking some of the Parmesan cheese and placing that all throughout the bread. Some people prefer to add in some shredded cheese. I think it's a little overkill, so I do it this way. I place it into a 350-degree oven for about 10 minutes, and then I place it on broil for 5 minutes until it has golden crispy edges like this. Recipe is a yummy, delicious salad that also you can prepare all the components ahead of time, the dressing, the actual salad, keep it in the fridge, and then combine it all together at the very last minute. So let's go into the recipe. After washing and cleaning my lettuce, I sliced it pretty thinly and add it to a serving plate. I like to use plates instead of bowls because I think you could showcase all of the vegetables in a pretty fashion. So I'm going to be chopping up lots of different vegetables. Feel free to use what you love and enjoy. I also had some pickled onions that I made previously, so I decided to add them into the salad also. They look really beautiful and they have such a nice tang to them. I finished the salad off with some feta cheese, and basically you could store this in the fridge for about 24 hours. I didn't dress it, and you can just put the dressing over the top right when everyone is home and you're ready to break the fast. This last recipe I shared with all of you during my Hanukkah series. It's a cottage cheese donut. I know it sounds gross because it has cottage cheese in it, but trust me, it is so delicious. It's so easy to make, and it has a lot of protein in it, which is great post-fast. It's something that you can also make ahead of time, meaning I'll make the batter ahead of time, keep it in the refrigerator, and afterwards I'll just quickly fry it up, and it is so yummy. Let's go into the recipe. Let's get started by making these yummy cottage cheese donuts. This is what I'm using today. You can use the 4%, the 1%. I don't think it really matters. You're gonna need eggs, a little bit of baking soda, a tiny bit of vinegar, sugar, and flour, and that is all. Okay, so the cottage cheese that I'm going to be using is 16 ounces, which is about 453 grams. I'm going to place all of that into my bowl. Keeping it very real for you guys with you hearing all of the kids playing and screaming in the background. To that, I'll be adding in 2 eggs, a pinch of salt, 3 tablespoons of sugar. And now we're going to be making this interesting type of slurry. I'm going to be using baking soda, a really small amount of it. Let's say less than half of a teaspoon. And I'm going to use some vinegar. And it's going to fizz. Over here we have about, let's see, let's measure this off. It's about 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of flour. I ended up adding in about another 1 heaping tablespoon of flour, and it definitely needed it. So this is the consistency that you're going for. It should be thick, and when you touch it with your hands, it shouldn't fall apart. So separately now, I'm putting some all-purpose flour in a bowl, taking a tablespoonful of the cottage cheese donut mixture, dropping it into the flour, mixing it around, rolling it between my hands, and then just placing it onto a plate so that it's all ready and set to go to be fried in the oil. I know that a few people may ask on here if these can be oven baked instead of fried. I do get this question a lot when I share my donut recipe or anything fried for that matter. And while of course you can, it's just not my personal preference. I feel like it really alters the taste and texture of something that just is the most delicious when fried. So obviously you're not indulging yourself with 6 donuts at a time. So, you know, as they say, everything in moderation. So if you're already eating something that's not so healthy for you, just eat one good one. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's up to you. You can definitely try though. Now that all the cottage cheese donuts have been rolled up, I lined up my station again. I filled up a frying pan with about 1 inch of avocado oil, gotten that all heated up, and I'm going to be dropping in the donuts one at a time and crisping them up on each side. I kept them for about 2 to 2.5 minutes on each side just to ensure that everything on the inside gets cooked through. I also lined a plate with some parchment paper so that I can easily drain all of the oil off of these cottage cheese donuts. The donuts have all been fried up and look so delicious already as they are, but to take them up a notch, I'm going to be sprinkling on some powdered sugar over the top, and it is just so yummy and delicious this way. For a taste test, so the donuts are all ready. The kids are in the background finishing up their dinner. These are so easy to make and they're so delicious. So good. And I don't feel so guilty because it's with cottage cheese. Here's a perfect video of what the inside looks like. It's perfect, light and bubbly inside,
Yum. Go for it, Yoshua.
I hope you enjoyed this little look into Yom Kippur in our house, how we spend the day, how I prepare for it as a busy mom to little ones. Hope you enjoyed the recipes, and if you did, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Share it with someone if you think they would benefit from it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Happy prepping, and I hope everyone has an easy fast for those who celebrate. Happy prepping from my family to yours.